Hello everyone, this is Josh from Whiskers and Wrenches. Today it's not looking very good outside. This morning I woke up to a bunch of icy slush. I had to scrape the windows on this thing. It was not very good. I'm gonna do a quick video here, just doing some interior things on this thing, getting it a little bit better to work with on a day-to-day basis. I had been driving this thing to work for the past couple weeks and it is doing great, but there are a few things on the inside, like the digital odometer is not great. The overhead console doesn't work. The dome light doesn't turn on. I don't have plates on it. Little things like that. We're going to make it just so it's a little bit better to drive to and from work every day. But other than that, this thing's been doing great. The oil pressure comes right up when I start it. It does all right in gas mileage. It gets about 6 to 7 miles of the gallon. Granted, that is just around town and four-wheel drive, because most of the time when I drive it, it's very icy, slushy like this, and I don't want to wreck the thing. It's been a pretty good truck to me, so it's been doing pretty good. Not slamming into gear, no weird whines, whistles, anything like that. It's been a good old truck so far. Alrighty, so first up here, guys, I'm going to take off the battery cables here. We don't want to be working on any electronics with power to the vehicle. Don't want to short anything out. Just play it safe. So in this video, there's a handful of things we need to take care of. One is the digital odometer in this thing is flickery. It's not working very well. It's got a few loose solder joints in there, I'm sure of it. I've done a couple of these trucks before. The overhead console is not working. It's not showing anything up there, so I'm going to mess around with it, see if I can't get it to work. The overhead light is burnt out in there. I'm gonna probably pop it off, put a new bulb in there. Little fiddly things here and there. I got the license plates and everything I can put on the truck since I went and got it registered yesterday. And I've got a little Bluetooth to AM FM radio thing I'm gonna pop in just so I can get some tunes and everything playing on the radio. But I mean, I've been driving this thing to work and everything for the past couple of weeks, and it's just been doing great. I've also got some windshield wipers I'm gonna install, Rain X ones, some really fancy ones to go on there, because these old ones that are on there are not in the best of shape. So I'm hopefully just going to get this thing ready for winter, because it is supposed to snow. We got some really good icy slush this morning that was not great, so I was very happy to have the four-wheel drive on this thing this morning, but I'm going to get it ready for the winter. If you have a late 90s to early 2000s Ford F-150 that has a dull, flickering, or straight up out digital odometer, this video is for you. I'm going to show you guys how to fix that. As of right now, it's not doing it, but when I'm driving, whenever I hit a bump, anything like that, this will flicker, cut out, it'll come back on. It's kind of like not very reliable. First, for tools, we'll need a little bit of plastic pry bars here, or a metal one, or a flathead screwdriver if you have it, and a 7mm socket. Alrighty, so first up here, guys, I'm going to take off the battery cables here. We don't want to be working on any electronics with power to the vehicle. Don't want to short anything out. Just play it safe. The first and the easiest panel to get off is this one right here. This is just held in by tension. You just give it a little tap or a little yank and it pops right out. Something that'll help you get it out of there is if you put your key in the ignition, drop your gear shifter all the way down if you have an automatic, and tilt your wheel if you can. That'll give you a little bit more room to get that panel up out of there. And with that panel off, we can see some hidden screws. We got one up under there. We got two right there. 1, 2, and 3 there, and then you got another one right behind your headlight switch. You got a couple spring-loaded panels right here, and these are all 7mm. Once you get all these off, this panel will start coming off. Alrighty, now that we got the headlight switch out of the way, we took it off, got the connections and everything out of there. Remove that screw back there. As you can see, it's starting to come off here. Now, this is held in there with a couple little clips and things like that. Just try to be as gentle as you possibly can. This is older plastic, and it's been a long time since it was put in your truck, so try to be as gentle as you possibly can. You do not want to break anything. So we got that out of there. You can see the little rubber things that was holding it in. Like I said, just try to be as careful as you can. This is old, brittle plastic. You don't want to break it. Now we can move on to the actual gauge cluster itself. You've got 4 screws, one at each corner there, one there, one over here, and one at the bottom there. Now on automatics, you do have to take out your shift indicator. Alrighty, with that stuff out of there, we can see the gauge cluster is moving. Now this is for automatic truck owners only now. If you get up under here to see your gear indicator right there, there are a couple little black plastic tabs right at the very end of that clear bit. You push them inwards towards the center of the gauge cluster and jiggle it out, and your whole gear indicator will pop down. But I can't really show you with how it's at, but there are 2 electrical connectors, one about in between your speedometer and your other gauges over here, and then another one about the same over here, but like next to your tach and your other gauges. They will both have a quick release clip on the very top that you will push down and they will slide out, and then your gauge cluster should just slide right on out of your dash like that. For the next step here, we're going to need to get to this connection right here, which means you're going to have to take off this back white bit here. There are 7 screws altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are a T10 Torx head bit, so we'll pop this guy off here. Now that we got all them off, this little back plastic piece you just pick right up. The next part is going to be very scary, but just be very gentle and you will be okay. You're going to have to pick up this control board and just jiggle it out. All these are going to have wires and everything running through them. They're spring loaded, so just gently wiggle it out and it'll pop right off. Alrighty, now that we got this off, these pins right here, which is on the back side of that little wire that we took out, are what causes the issue with all these gauge clusters. They are notorious for having bad solder. You guys probably will not be able to see it, but this first pin right here is just cracked up. It's really mangled really bad. Now just check all these pins right here for messed up solder and things like that. Put new solder on them and you'll be all good to go. While you have this gauge cluster apart, it's a good idea to replace any burnt out bulbs you have, and then we'll put it all back together. It's not the prettiest job in the world, but just kind of dab some solder up on there. Like I said, the connections in there get all cracked and jiggly and everything like that. That's what's causing your issue. So as long as you secure it with new solder, it doesn't have to look the most beautiful. Nobody's really going to be back here. All right, now that we got the board and everything cleaned up, I put it right back down under here. Make sure you get all these little pins right here lined up. These are all your gauges. Push them down. Make sure this board is fully seated on there. You don't want any, sitting up sideways, not getting good connections, and now instead of a burnt out odometer, you have a gauge cluster that doesn't work. So put this all back on here, put the shield back on there, reconnect your hook up there, and put it back on your truck, and we should be good to go. Extra step here, if you like having a clean pickup, if it's not, just a work truck that you drive once a year, you could take these screws out here. They're T10s, just like the ones we just used, and wipe down inside of here. There is dust and everything that does build up inside this cover, and since you have it off, it's pretty darn easy to clean. You might as well do it. Now they got all the connections and everything hooked back up. We're going to give it a quick power cycle. Look at that. It's all bright, and it's keeping on. We're going to give it a start real quick just to make sure everything's good. Starts right up, and it's bright. Okay. Just like that. Like that, you've got the dash repaired, your gauge cluster's looking good, and you're all good to go. Well, as you can see here, that odometer is nice and bright, not flickering, anything like that. So we got that guy fixed. I'm gonna try to do the little overhead console thing now, because this little guy's supposed to do like compasses and things like that. It's never worked since I bought it, so I'm gonna try to fix that up. Put new wipers on it this morning, so we're doing good. I have a late 90s to early 2000s F-150 with a non-working overhead console. I'm gonna show you guys how to fix that in this quick short. So for the tool list, it's going to be very simple. All you're going to need is a Phillips head screwdriver and something to pry. You can also use a flathead screwdriver. You just need to pop a couple clips off. So the first things first, you're going to have a screw right up here, Phillips head screw. You pop that guy out, and then back here, you're going to have little clip tabs right here and right here, one on each side. You're going to want to use your little pry tool, get in there, pop them out. Just be as gentle as possible. This plastic is old, and it's probably going to be very brittle. These two little clips popped out of there. This whole thing should fall right down. You're going to disconnect it right up here. We're going to bring this thing inside and break it down. Alrighty, now that you got the part off and inside, it's going to be a T10 Torx bit. Pop all these guys off to get this little control board right here. Once you get this guy out of there, there's going to be this little cable that you pop out right here. Just a pair of some needle nose pliers will do it. Just be very gentle. Again, this is older plastic. You don't want to break something. Alrighty, our next step here is to get this little green cover off there. We got a couple little tabs right here. We got two on either side. We're going to pop those guys off. That'll expose the circuit board under there, and we can get working. Now that we got that little green shield off there, just going to very gently lift up on the circuit board here, up like this, and you'll be able to pull it the whole way out. As you can see, there's your clicker for your select things and everything like that. Now we have the PCB and everything fully exposed, so we can start checking for loose solder joints. Now, what you're going to want to look for here, now that you got it off, is these 5 resistors right here. Now, what you're going to want to look for on these is if they're sitting slanted, anything like that, or they have cracked soldering. They're notorious for having bad solder even where you can't see them. So put a glob of solder on either end of all 5 of these resistors, put it all back together, and I can almost guarantee you that's going to fix it. One other thing to check while you do have the solder gun out is just all your other solder points. Make sure there's nothing on the back of the board that's cracked up, anything other than that. Another thing to do is to clean out this little green plastic, all that dust, get all that junk out of there so it just looks a little bit cleaner when you put it all back together. As you can see here, I got some solder. Oh, if it'll focus. Got some solder globbed on all those resistors and everything. They don't have to be pretty. They just have to make sure that electricity is going to flow through them. So we're going to go hook this thing back into the truck and test it. Alrighty, now here's the moment of truth. I got it very crudely hooked back up here, and we'll see if we get power to it. And look at that. She lights up, and we're facing west, and it is icy outside. Very true. Look at that. Simple as that. Now I'm going to put this all back together, hang it back up in there, and that's how you do it. And we got everything back up in there. As you can see there, 34 degrees west. It works again. Make sure to like and subscribe. Okay, I've got like one more thing to do in here. I've got to get this overhead light because it's burnt out. And then pretty sure that's it. This thing is all the little piddly stuff I've been needing to do, like the digital odometer, this little guy, wipers, all that stuff will be good. This thing will be like fully ready for winter. I also did put a little Bluetooth to a radio transponder here so I can listen to my tunes, and it does play pretty good. gonna pop this guy down. And we'll see here is that guy works, just this middle bulb. Yep, she's definitely burned out. This other one I've been keeping back here for a while. This one I got on my parts truck. I completely forgot about it, that it was in here, but figured, you know what? It's good that I saved it because I do need the little bulb off of it. All right, let's put this guy up in here and hope that we'll have... Hey, look at that. So magical. I'm going to go and wipe this down, clean it up before I pop it back up in there. But other than that, this thing's ready to go, man. And to finish it off, because I do love Christmas, I got a little bit of Christmas lights hanging from the overhead console here. Got the little battery box hidden in my garage door opener. These are supposed to be white, is what the box said, but now they're blue, so I got to make sure I'm not going to get pulled over for these. But Christmas time. Using the most secure method here, zip ties. Because as you can tell, the front end of this thing's a little bit carefully modified. Good tip here, if you ever need to get around something, you can fold the zip tie, bend it like that, it makes it a lot easier. Now if I just hook this thing right up into here, it'll bend right around the corner I need, fish it right out. There we go. Then we got license plate. I mean, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but it ain't going anywhere, and that's the important thing. Do one more thing before I finish up here. This thing is kind of dirty, as you can see here. It's not been faring too good with the slush and everything like that that's been around here. So I'm gonna go give this thing a bath and really make it shine, polish a turd, if you will. Well, there she is, you know, for a cheap pickup. She cleans up pretty darn well. I mean, obviously it's got some rust, it's got some overspray, but it's really not that bad of a paint job. It's not fading real bad. The roof's in all right shape. You can hear that tapping from the exhaust really good, but I mean, my fog lights work, my headlights work. Pretty darn snazzy looking pickup. We got her ready to comfortably daily. I have been dailying this thing for the last couple weeks, but I mean, that overhead console, that digital odometer, the dash light, not having radio music, things like that was starting to get a little bit annoying. So now we've got her all good. We got new wipers on there. Like I said, we got that digital odometer fixed, got the overhead console fixed, got the dome light fixed, got our radio available, put some Christmas lights in there, gave her a good wash, and this thing is ready for the winter. Most amazing on gas. I've been getting about 7 miles to the gallon. Granted, I mean, I do have a lot of weight on the back. I haven't been driving it as probably softly as I possibly could, but I mean, I've been helping a few people that have driven into ditches with the ice on the roads around here. Let it warm up a little bit before work. So if I drove it a little bit better, I could probably get 8 to 9 miles to the gallon. But this thing, I don't really care how bad it is on gas. I just want this thing to be reliable for winter because it gets kind of gross down here, and I don't want to be out here having to change plugs, having to change a tire, having to, do an oil change, anything like that, in like 10 degrees weather. So I'm just happy this thing is all ready for the winter and all ready to be a reliable old girl. Hopefully you guys will not see her for the next couple months here until we get through the end of winter. After that, I'm probably going to do some rust repair, but this should be the last time you guys see this old truck for a while. It's going to be in the background of videos and things like that, but I don't plan on working on it at least till the end of summer. So everybody say goodbye to the F-150 for the time being. And if you guys like the video, like, subscribe, hang around. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Among Us. Dreams are made of these. Give him a tune up. Look at that.
Yummers.